PHP Architect would like to thank Honey Badger for sponsoring this episode of the PHP Podcast.
Honey Badger transforms you into a DevOps hero by combining error, uptime, and cron monitoring into a single, easy-to-use platform. Stop wasting your time tailing logs and deploy with Swagger. Visit honeybadger.io today to level up.
Welcome to the official podcast of PHP Architect. Join us to listen to the latest news and tech talk from our conferences, the magazine, and wider PHP community.
You're listening to the PHP Podcast interview edition for November 2021. I am your host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me is John Congdon.
Hello.
And joining us again back in studio, Vinícius Campitelli.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. I've been practicing.
Yeah, I see that.
It's almost been a year since we spoke. The last time we spoke was December of 2020. We're in November of 2021. You had just moved to São Paulo, Brazil. You had just left your startup.
Exactly.
And you were going on some new adventures. I think one of them was teaching. You're going to teach a class. What's been going on? How's life? You still in São Paulo? And what's up, man?
Yeah, I am. Crazy year, right? We were just talking about it before joining here. So I decided to quit my startup, and I was like, okay, I don't want to work as a developer anymore. I need some time for myself. And then after a month, I started working as a freelance PHP developer. And I was like,
I don't want to develop, but I'm going to develop.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know why I did it, because I didn't need money that much on that month. But I was, okay, this came up, shouldn't miss it. But yeah, I started giving some workshops, some lectures. I found this company that they wanted to hire me as a developer. And I said, I don't want to develop anymore. But hey, I could teach you. And I've been teaching them every single week or every week or not, about 8 or 10 months right now. So it's like a 4-hour workshop twice or 3 times a month on several subjects, cryptography, security, Solid, Kubernetes, Docker, everything else. So I set up a list of subjects that a developer should know, and I just started teaching them. So it's been awesome. And I've been working for a US-based company also called Otera. It's based on LA. It's for streaming. It's for OTT. So it's a streaming platform for anyone that wants to deliver channels to TVs and create their own apps. So I've been working there as well since February, I guess. So it's been a crazy year.
For all of your teaching, is it mainly for just 1 or 2 big companies, or are you doing it for lots of different companies?
No, it's for a couple of companies right now. I can't do more than 2 companies at the same time, because I always like to customize the workshops. So I ask some code from them, and I review their code, and I try to be more practical, So, hey, take a look at this. So we are talking about Solid, so here's the code that you guys got it wrong. Let's talk about TDD. So here's a test that you guys should have wrote for this function because it's huge and it's very complicated. So even though there's a theoretic part that is the same, I like to customize the workshop for each company, So I can't handle more than 1 or 2 companies at the same time.
That's awesome that you found like a company that will bring you in for multiple sessions to keep training their developers.
Yeah.
Versus bringing you in just to do one subject and then moving on.
Yeah. And like I said, it's almost 10 months now. So it's almost like I'm part of their group, So they just called me to play soccer with them last week. So it's like I'm a third-party guy. They are outsourcing me, so it's fun. And just like I said, sometimes just hire someone to answer our questions about one subject, and that's it. You never see that guy anymore. So I'm on workshop number 18 or 19 with them right now. So it's been awesome.
Very cool.
And the solid principle was actually the topic we talked about last year with you in your interview. This year, you've written a couple of feature articles with us based around security, Libsodium and cryptography. What's taking you down that path?
Yeah, it's funny actually, because I don't remember the first time that I got in touch with cryptography, but probably was trying to implement API authentication, right? It's almost 90% of developers we start taking a look at authentications and OAuth or anything else we do, and handling all those client IDs and client secrets, it's always a mess, right? We always fail hard when trying to do that. And well, I remember when Facebook login was a thing and we used it everywhere. Man, it was hard to get it working, right? For the first couple of times. So I used to read a lot about this subject. And of course, I learned a lot about it, but it stood on my mind, on the back of my head. And I was like, okay, this is something that I struggled with, but I got it working. But I don't want to spend so much more time on it. I think that's something that most people do, actually. But then 5 years ago, I guess, the company that I worked here in São Paulo, we started a cybersecurity project. So we needed to learn. And it was tough because you guys know, didn't find any resources or any articles back then. It was 2015 or 16. And when we did manage to find articles, it had nothing to do with PHP. So it was very hard. Of course, we had OWASP and WASP have them like 20 years ago already, but only the top 10 series, I guess. I don't remember them having those cheat sheets series they have right now. That is awesome. So we have to learn by ourselves, right? We have to read the articles, sometimes hire some consultancy firms and tell them, hey, please teach us how to do it. Or hire some pen test companies to test our apps and delivers us a huge list of everything we got wrong. So after that, after a lot of struggling and a lot of failed attempts, we finally learned about cryptography and security. And I really liked it about it. Of course, I'm not a cryptologist or a mathematician, so I don't know the deeps of the algorithms, but I really like speaking about security and cryptography on conferences and on meetups. So here I am.
Knowing enough about the subject, you're not going to write your own algorithms. Like he's at least kind of having a broad idea of how they work and how you can really mess it up is important.
Yeah, totally. Please don't write your own article or don't mix two articles, right?
Or don't try to do your own cryptography. Like, I'm just going to MD5 this 100 times and get it right.
Yeah.
That's not how you do it.
But that's difficult to get in your mind, right? Because sometimes you would think, okay, have MD5 and a lot of other hashing functions. Maybe if I could combine them together, I could grab the best of them. But it's not. It's the worst of them. So it's hard to get that in your mind at first.
We've come across so many legacy applications in our line of business where the person who did their login scheme definitely didn't understand cryptography and tried just doing security through obscurity, and that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
I like that he started with doing it the hard way, the old OpenSSL way of doing things. And now PHP has brought Libsodium into core, and it's so much easier. I don't want to say easy to do encryption, but you don't have to jump through as many hoops. You're able to get really good encryption algorithms correctly with less lines of code.
Yeah, I think one of the most common cases of vulnerabilities is like you guys said, is someone that don't understand cryptography, don't understand security, and they try to implement themselves, and they try to create all this logic, all this algorithm on their heads. The problem is the theory here is important. If you don't know the theory, you're gonna get it wrong. So, like I said, I'm not a cryptologist or anything else, so you don't need to learn how the RSA algorithm works, all the steps behind, but you need to know the big picture, right? So this is why I wrote the first article. So here's the big picture, here's the theory. If you don't have Libsodium, or if you're writing some legacy, or if you're maintaining some legacy applications that you can't for whatever reason upgrade, or if you're not dealing with PHP, so here's the hard way,
I saw a recent talk that you gave called Protecting Your Sensitive Variables and Deploys.
Yeah.
I'm really curious why that's not an article yet. I'm just wondering.
Hey, we can get that.
That was good. I had to. Where was that at? Because obviously I had to watch it through a translation. Who were you giving that talk to, though? I don't recall who that was.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't even remember. I gave that talk. Because I gave that talk a lot, because that was the last thing I did before quitting my old job, before quitting my job to go to my startup. So that was the last thing I did for them. there's a huge e-commerce company here in Brazil, and they called us to improve their security. They are having all these problems with CI/CD because it's a huge company, and every day there's people joining and people leaving the company. So they were having a hard time trying to get all their security credentials created or deleted when someone left the company. And it was crazy, because they had over 1,000 employees. They used to buy a lot of small companies every month, actually. Mm-hmm. So the leaders were crazy, man. Every week they had to create a setup of Amazon accounts and delete the old ones and rotate the access keys. And they suffered a lot with that. So this is why I wrote that article. It was a great article. It was a great talk, actually, that, hey, we can turn that into an article. Just, guys, just say the word.
Yeah, for sure. You telling me if I did a little bit more searching, I could probably find an English version of it, or?
I don't think there's an English version for this one.
Okay, that's fine. No, I was fine with the translation. I would, miss little bits and pieces, but I'll catch up. I got it.
That's why your pronunciation is great, right? It's about listening to me speaking Portuguese. So
I watch a lot of it. Yeah. So how are you liking São Paulo?
Actually, I live here for 7 years right now. Just moved from an apartment. Used to live on another place of the city, and I just moved with my girlfriend to this new neighborhood. Yeah, I really love living here because my folks are from a small town here. It's like 200 or 250 miles from São Paulo, so it's a very small town, like 40,000 people, and we don't have anything there. So when I came to São Paulo to work for that other company, everything changed, right? I was not used to come here because when living on smaller towns, you just see these big cities, it's huge and violent and all this traffic. And I was, okay, I don't want to live in São Paulo ever, right? And here I am, almost 8 years later. I'm still here and I don't want to go back.
I don't have a concept of how big it is, but like, do you ever get to go to like, what is the thing called with the organic foods, Agua Branca Park or something? Is that right? Agua Branca?
Yeah, there's a park here called Agua Branca that means like white water. It's a neighborhood here in São Paulo. It's a good park, actually. Yes, São Paulo is huge, man.
Suppose they have like some major like organic food market there. It's not a market. I guess they have like a farmer's market. It was what we call them here, where all these local farmers bring their stuff.
Yeah, we have a lot of these things right here, actually. All these neighborhoods, they had their associations, right? So they just try to improve the local business, and everyone that has their own store, their own shops, they manage to do this kind of stuff. But São Paulo is huge. We have like, I think the city alone has 12 million people, but the greater São Paulo has 20 million people. So it's a mess, but I love it. It's a good mess.
And I assume you're still working remote, so you just get to dial into everywhere you're working?
Yeah, because when I quit my old job to go to my startup, we were already working from home. We hired a house here, and me and my ex-business associate, we hired this house, and we were already working from home when the pandemic came. So we didn't at first we didn't realize what was going on because we were already working 24/7. So yeah, but right now the company that I work is based in LA. We do have some other people around the world, but I'm the only developer from Brazil. We have some guys from Argentina too. And even though the company that I give these workshops, they are based in São Paulo, it's all remote. It was strange at first giving the remote workshops because, man, one thing is talking. Another thing is having everyone else to ask questions and to interact with me during the workshop, right? It's not a lecture, it's a workshop. So I need them to ask questions and I need them to tell me what's going on with their code and everything else. So at first was terrible, but hey, I'm almost done now. So
I've seen that a lot with online conferences. Like,
Yeah.
you have people that do really good presentations live, but they just fall apart when it comes to a video presentation because you don't get that feedback. You're talking to your screen. People often get a lot more flat and just don't know how to
They
emote
feed
as
off that
much.
energy.
Yeah.
That's how I am. I like feed off the energy of other people. I don't do well by myself.
Yeah, totally. And like I told Eric before we began, I need to turn on my webcam. Of course, we are recording a podcast here, and you guys don't see us, but we are seeing each other. So every time I say something, I see their reactions. I see our reactions right here. So it's different, I need to see this. I need to be able to see this to know. Maybe someone won't ask a question, but by looking at their face, realize they did understand it, or they are not really paying attention. And I'm not there to call out for them, but I was, hey, do you want me to explain this in a different way? So tell me, what do you need? So it's very important to have this feedback, like you said.
Mm-hmm. So going back to these presentations you're doing for the companies, how many people at a time are you doing a workshop for?
Yeah, it depends on the company. The last one has, I think, 10 people on their tech squad. So it's me more 10 people. It's good. I don't think having too much people gonna work, it's gonna be terrible.
That's nice and intimate where you can have that feedback with everybody. Once you start getting up to many more than that, you got the people that just sit back and they're doing it because they have to.
Yeah, totally.
I see that in meetings all the time. They just like, you want that feedback. We have all the developers here, to have some discussions or get different viewpoints, because you don't want just a couple of people kind of running it all. You want different points on things. And I just wish people understood that more and didn't just sit back.
Yeah, and like I said, they are not lectures. They are this training. So I need them to tell me what's going on. I need them to tell me how that matches with their current work. If they're thinking of something that they did that week that matches what I just told them. So it has to be both ways, This shouldn't be a hashing function. Oh, here's a geeky.
One way.
So if you guys didn't understand the joke, please read the last article.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah.
So with the new company in LA, are you going to be coming up this way anytime, or it's just going to be all remote?
No, man. I want to go there ASAP. I just think the US just started allowing us Brazilians to go there. I think it was this November that you guys started allowing us. So maybe next year I can go there and meet the rest of the people. I just met with two of the CEO and the COO. I haven't met with anyone else, so it's going to be a good thing to really know them. The first thing I told my CEO when I met him was, man, I'm so glad that you exist. It's not a deep fake or something like that, so it's good.
Yeah, LA is only a couple hours north of Eric and I, so it's really close.
Yeah,
take
totally.
You out for a beer and say thank you for all the writing you've done for us over the years.
Yeah, man, let's do that.
As we're recording this on the 22nd November. Some big news got released today. One of the bigger stories is that PHP has established a foundation now. I think the goal is to help kind of with the organization of PHP internals, help with some funding with PHP internals, just make sure that group or that organization stays strong and PHP continues to evolve. Just curious if you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's a great story, actually. PHP is a community language. Rasmus created by himself. Of course, we had some major companies backing the support, like Zend did for some time. And there are a lot of companies that support the development, but it's a community-based language. And the frameworks are almost community-based as well. So it's a great day for us. I hope it really goes well, because we had a lot of another attempts at creating these foundations in the past, right? So I really hope this one goes forward. I already made my contribution there, so I'm a recurrent subscriber. I'm back at contribution. I saw that PHP Arch also made a contribution there. So if you guys are listening to this right now, please go ahead and help the PHP Foundation, help us support and maintain our beloved language.
Actually, it was started and backed this time by JetBrains. I think the impetus was Nikita. They had hired Nikita Popov.
Yeah.
Amazing individual. So happy with everything he's done for the PHP language over the years. But last year, that article was written about the bus factor by somebody that works at JetBrains, realizing that, if something happened to Nikita, where would we be at? And I think it was just people's eyes open. And here we are less than a year later. And Nikita, I guess, decided to step away. He has some other things to go work on, other interests at this point. And so JetBrains stepped up and said, okay, the money we were paying Nikita, we are now going to start backing this foundation. And I guess they got a bunch of other organizations to do the same. And because it's kind of an open foundation, like you said, PHP Architect, Diego Dev, you yourself, and really anybody can contribute, as little as $5 a month, just to say, I make a living off of PHP, I should contribute something. Obviously there's no requirement, but it's just a nice thing. And hopefully we'll get more people to start contributing, to step up and kind of take the reins.
Yeah, totally. It's like you said, no one asked me to donate. I was just feeling that I had to, because I've been developing with PHP professionally for 10 years, but the first time that I wrote PHP was 15 years ago. So everything that I own today, that I have today, is because of PHP. It has been my main language for the last 10 years. Of course, I code with other languages. I used to work with JavaScript, with Python, everything else, but PHP was the main one for so many years. So I felt that I needed to pay back. Let's say that way.
I like the way you put that. Everything I have today, like just personally, my house, my business, my cars, is because of the PHP language, giving me a living for the past.
It's not only PHP, right?
We've been quick to pay for adjacent tools like database tools and IDEs and things like that. We've never had to pay a penny, and nor are they asking anybody to pay a penny towards the actual language, but it's nice. I've always wanted to. I'm not sure people appreciate how much work these volunteers put into the development of this language, and the fact that we have this, and not only do we have it, but it continues to mature. Every year it gets exponentially better as a language, and it just feels good. It feels right that a foundation is built around it to help organize that, to help, compensate. Compensation is needed. I feel good about it. I'm really interested to see, and the fact that they're doing it in the open, everything is open. Nothing's being done behind closed doors. I'm very excited to see how this is implemented and how it's used.
Yeah, totally. So we had some bad news some time ago, right? A lot of bad news during PHP Live, right? So PHP 5, we're almost feeling that it wasn't going anywhere. Mm-hmm. Then Facebook came and Hack came and everything changed. And then PHP 7 came and we are like, okay, we are back on track. Let's do this. Yeah. And then Zend stopped supporting, and they had then their own minds. Of course, I agree with them. They spend a lot of time with the language, and they are free to do whatever they think they can. So I think it's all right. And then when Zend turns to Laminas, we were okay. At least we have those guys back to the team, and everything is working. So PHP still won't die anytime soon, because this is what we use to listen, right? Every month, every year, somebody would step up and say PHP is gonna die. Please learn anything else. And here we are. Soon PHP 8.1 is gonna be there, and now we have PHP Foundation. So man, it's a great time to be a PHP developer. It has always been, actually.
You mentioned Zen. When Zen basically kind of dropped their support for the framework and their support of PHP, that to me was big. Like, I was terrified when I heard that. In my previous life, I worked in a big enterprise. And the only way I got PHP into that enterprise was the fact that there was a big company like Zen offering support for it. And when I heard that that was going away, I'm like, man, these people want PHP in the enterprise. They have major uphill battle now, because that is a big point for enterprise implementations, is having a company behind the language. I'm hoping there are other companies out there who are more than willing to support PHP. But yeah, I'm hoping with this foundation that starts to kind of build those blocks again that these enterprise organizations need to say, okay, this there's a foundation here. Like, this is not going away tomorrow, which is always the argument. There's nothing to say that this won't go away tomorrow unless there's a company behind it. And ideally, maybe that foundation becomes that. The foundation becomes the foundation.
Yeah, totally. I took the Zen news the same way, because I learned my first framework was Zen. The first time I got out of Brazil was to go to ZenCon in 2016, I guess. So it was huge news, man. I was, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So just told everyone that we could trust these guys. And I'm not telling that we don't, because they are awesome. We are here because of them. But I told them, okay, we can go with Zen framework. And when they launched version 2, and we had to recreate our entire code base, because
rebuild the whole thing.
Yeah, they already looked funny at me, my coworkers. Hey, you told me this one was cool, and it was, man. And then Zen 3 came with all of those components and everything else. My first talk actually was about Zen Expressive. My first talk ever was using Zen Expressive to build authentication with JWT and everything else. So I took it personally. So it's very good to have a foundation, and I really appreciate all the work that every company did, and Nikita did, and every other major contributor and every other minor contributor has done to the language.
Yeah. That's a good point. Very good point.
All right, Vinícius, I want to thank you, as always, for everything you've done for the community, for the articles you've contributed, for the articles you will be contributing.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Thanks for taking the time, and thanks for writing with us. Appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure, guys. You can count on me. I have so much more to give back to the community, like you guys said.
This has been PHP Podcast, the official podcast of PHP Architect, the industry's leading tech magazine and publisher, focused on PHP and web development. Subscribe today at phparch.com to see what the leaders in the community and industry are talking about.